Hello everyone, this is Barbara Spinelli. I am an Italian lawyer and a member of the Association of Lawyers for Democracy and Human Rights. This year we want to make a gift to you, and in order to celebrate together the Day of Endangered Lawyers, we prepared a short video interview with two prominent human rights lawyers. This year, the 24th of January, the Day of Endangered Lawyers, is focused on the situation of lawyers in Azerbaijan. This is why we decided to make a short video interview with two prominent human rights lawyers from Azerbaijan, our colleague Emin Aslan and our colleague Emin Abbasov. So the first question is for our colleague Emin Abbasov, and we ask him, what are the main challenges that lawyers are actually facing in Azerbaijan?
The situation with the human rights lawyers, you can be informed from the international reports that over the last decade there were about 20 lawyers, human rights lawyers, who are disbarred or suspended or subjected to different punishments by the Bar Association for just doing the human rights work, just defend the people whose the human rights and the freedoms are violated. Also lawyers who are outspoken about the human rights abuses. What does it mean to be outspoken about the human rights issues in the country? In most cases, it can be seen that it is limited with the interests of their clients, but in general, it also related in entire the general legal system, entire the judicial system, which is the statements and the views of lawyers are very important for the situation of rule of law and the judiciary, as they are very best placed persons to draw the attention of public attention to the problems in the legal system. Let me give you some example in the context of Azerbaijan. For example, Mr. Yalchin Imanov, without a doubt, the prominent human rights lawyers who regularly defended the people who are subjected to different human rights violations. And in many cases, it was politically motivated investigations. And in one day, he met his client in prison, and he received from his client about torture allegations. And when the lawyer published these the allegations and they gave their interview to the media about the problems of the torture in the prison, of course, this act of lawyer resulted with his disbarment, as the Bar Association later explained that this kind of information are sensitive and they couldn't be given to the media, and they couldn't be published. Of course, this was the pure violation of the freedom of expression of lawyers, and the lawyers cannot be limited with the existing legal protection mechanisms, in particularly in undemocratic countries, which the existing the courts and the protection mechanisms and the other remedies are not effective actually. So unfortunately, the being human rights lawyers, just being insisting and constantly to defend the people who are subjected to the severe human rights abuses, and also the problems which is entrenched in the legal system. And just if the lawyer continue to focus on these issues, on these systematic problems, so he might find himself or herself in a position that, okay, you are a human rights lawyer, you are focusing on one of the hard and the difficult side of the legal system. So I think that being a human rights lawyer is just being insistent and being constant on the just focusing on what the law says, and to just to hold the rule of law and to effectively defend the people rights and the freedoms.
The second question is for our colleague Emina Slanna, and is what is the situation of women and LGBTQI lawyers in Azerbaijan, or lawyers protecting, defending women's rights and LGBTQI rights? Thank you.
So regarding the situation with women's lawyers and also LGBTQI lawyers in Azerbaijan, I actually will separate these two topics because the issue with the women lawyers in Azerbaijan, there are similarities with LGBTQI lawyers, but also lots of difference. So regarding the first issue with the situation of women's lawyers in Azerbaijan, the problem is rooted to the perception of the society, the social norms that I could call it a cage norms, that this is restrictive, and also the prejudice. The issue here is that in not on legal filters like a system, there is no discrimination, but with the authorities, how they approach to the women lawyers, and also the public, how they approach the women lawyers. Specifically, I will focus on the problems with women who wants to have a legal profession and then trying to find out the jobs in here. In Azerbaijan, this is the way that law enforcement, for example, law enforcement agencies are perceived by the society as masculine jobs. So the woman seeking such jobs, like being a prosecutor, an investigator, is much more difficult. But women who are seeking to be a lawyers, like advocates, they do not have problems with that regard. But in any way, even in there, we can see the attitudes is different to the lawyers, women lawyers. The public has a skepticism about their a competence issue, and also the problem with the authorities that they do not give attention, and they do not have any let's say programs, any plans to how to encourage women to be lawyers. So we have the problems with the women lawyers, but with regard to LGBTQI lawyers, the problem is much more worse. I can't name any person who can openly say that I'm an LGBTQI lawyer openly. So the social norms in here is much more suffocating, is much more dangerous. Even the authorities illegally violated the LGBTQI people rights. It's not only lawyers' issue, but also in general the problem. I guess Azerbaijan is ranked as one of the worst countries in Europe regarding the rights and freedoms of LGBTQI individuals. The situation with the lawyers is always the same. I can't. So I can give an example. For example, even the people who defending LGBTQI people, individuals in the cases, the lawyers, they try to hide their identities. They do not say their names because of the public attitude. Then they will be, they will laugh at that. They will be discriminated again, and the people. So basically, what I can say in a summary, the situation with both the women's lawyers and LGBTQI lawyers in Azerbaijan is much more rooted on the social cage norms rather than on legal field.
Third question is for our colleague Emina Abazov, and is how many lawyers are actually under investigation in Azerbaijan or have been disbarred due to their defense. Thank you.
General legal system in Azerbaijan was established based on the rules coming from Soviet periods. Despite the fact that there had been taken several steps to develop the general legal system, unfortunately there are serious deficiencies and problems in the field of rule of law and the general judiciary system. Also in the last decade, there was recorded a serious decline in respect to human rights situation. And the government introduced several legal reforms in recent years to address to these problems. But unfortunately, these reforms skipped serious challenges, systematic problems, such as independence of judiciary, rule of law, and the problems related to the fundamental freedoms. And these reforms also deteriorated the situation of the legal profession in the country. These problems, which is related to the legal profession, included the problems related to the independence of the Bar Association, and also inability to Bar Association to regulate legal profession in a fair and objective manner. To be more specific, Azerbaijani Bar Association in recent years routinely abused actually the disciplinary proceedings against independent lawyers who are defended government critics, human rights activists, politicians. Also, it punished lawyers who are always was the outspoken about the human rights problems. And the problems of the legal profession also included the freedom of expression of lawyers, which is in recent years we recorded serious regress in this field through the new controversial code of conduct, which is restricts the content of the freedom of expression of lawyers. And the problems of the independence of lawyers also reflected in the field of admission, in the field of the access to legal profession. So the existing rules in regard to the admission, in regard to the exams, allow to the Bar Association to discriminate against lawyers who are well known with their human rights works, and also with the critical views against the human rights abuses in the country. In summary, Azerbaijani Bar Association fails to protect its members as it heavily dependent on the government institutions. Therefore, it fails to function as a genuine professional institutions to defend its members. And the lawyers' freedom of expression, the repression actually, and the against the rights of the lawyers also seriously diminish their roles to contribute general legal system and effectively to defend the human rights and the freedoms in the country.
The fourth question is for our colleague Emin Aslan, and is what is the meaning of being human rights lawyer in Azerbaijan? And the most important question for us, how our association, how the international legal community can support your struggle for human rights.
So how the international legal community can help Azerbaijani human rights lawyers in Azerbaijan? I can give several directions. One is the advocacy, the second one is solidarity, the third one is building network. This three direction can be very helpful. What I mean on the advocacy is that the lawyers participating in different international events, they can raise these issues in these platforms. They can prepare more programs regarding the deteriorating situations of human rights lawyers, not only in Azerbaijan but in general in the world. This is one direction. The second one can be very simple but very easy to take, but very important, is solidarity. Whenever there is a violations of any rights of the human rights lawyers in any country, not particularly Azerbaijan, we can raise our voice and support to this lawyer, which can be very encouraging to this lawyer and also can have a deterring effect on the government actions. The third one is the building a networks. Now it's very general words. I don't have any specific detailed imaginations about how it can be built. But the networking is also very crucial. Specifically, what I see in Azerbaijani context, that human rights lawyers are lacking access to different opportunities like a capacity building. they encourage, for example, they encounter with the problem of when they're writing cases, like strategic cases. So the lawyers from different countries, specifically from Europe, they can help these lawyers in Azerbaijan to write their strategic cases and be very collaborative in this regard. And they can also involve Azerbaijani lawyers in their writing of their strategic cases, not only strategic cases, but to their work. So this is collaborative platforms can be very helpful to human rights lawyers, not in Azerbaijan, but in general too.
Dear colleagues, thank you so much. We are grateful for your short video interview that is very full of information about the situation of lawyers in Azerbaijan. And as every year we do, also this year we will make some recommendation. We will publish some recommendation to the authorities in Azerbaijan, and we will ask again to fully implement the judgments of the European Court of Human Rights concerning human rights defenders, including lawyers, and to fully implement the European Convention on Human Rights and the UN Basic Principle on the role of lawyers, and also to fully compensate the lawyers who have suffered damages through unjustified illegal measures such as disbarment or imprisonment. We recommend the Azerbaijan authorities not to prevent lawyers from exercising their civil and political rights, and to respect the independence of the role of lawyers. Our recommendation will be published with a fuller report about the situation of lawyers and the legal profession in Azerbaijan.